Miss, sorry about that. Miss, can you go through reforms of PD, please?
Okay, forms of opinion. Okay.
Moment. Session start.
Okay, can someone tell me the various types of peritoneal dialysis? What are the four types? Shania, since you asked the question, can you tell me what are the forms of PD and what do you not understand by it?
Okay. Well, reforms of PD, it will at least, it has ECAPD, which is continuous ambulatory
Ambulatory peritoneal
peritoneal
dialysis.
dialysis, and it have ccpd, continuous cycling peritoneal dialysis. I'm not understanding like the difference between both.
Okay, so if you look in your handout, right? It's on page 9. And we know CAPD is the is an automated peritoneal dialysis, right? Anyone would like to explain CAPD for me? Because I want to know how much you all know. This is not just about I'm coming here and just explaining things. I need to know how much you all know also. And we are not just here to stay quiet.
Miss Alehenma, good evening, everybody.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Grant.
Um, the CAPD, that is what
Continuous ambulatory peritoneal
mm-hmm,
dialysis.
exchange of peritoneal fluid for 4 to 6 hours during the day. There's a cycle that goes on during the day. More detail than that, miss?
Yes, of course, you have to be more detailed than that.
Mm-hmm. I could I could say CAPD. Um just now, miss, am I right something? Yes, no.
Miss, could I answer?
Yes, thank you very much.
So CAPD is continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis and
Yeah.
is done while the patient is awake during the day. Exchanges are carried out manually by exchanging 1.5 to 3 liters of peritoneal dialysate at least 4 times daily, with dwell times averaging 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's it?
Yes. So,
Okay.
okay, so and the answer, you can find that answer on page 9, right? Continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis means that the patient has to manually insert, I'm reading from page 9, right? Continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis means that the patient has to manually insert and drain the dialysate several times during the day. As stated above, right? So you skip out that as stated above, right? So A low transporter dialyzes more slowly, and so the dialysis process is slower when compared to the high transporter, right? So the reason the reason why I use this is because you have to know the difference between low transporters and high transporters, and it will be good to mention which transporter uses CAPD, right? Then it continued on the other paragraph. During CAPD, an inflow of about 2.5 liters of dialysate is placed in the peritoneal cavity via a catheter and left to dwell in the cavity with a dwell time of at least 3 hours. The simplicity of CAPD, the ease of doing it at home, its relatively low cost, and the associated freedom from dialysis machinery have combined to make it historically the most popular chronic PD modality. Right? So therefore, I will say you will use from continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis. You will use that sentence there until there, and you'll also add in this paragraph here, right? To explain your CAPD. So what you are using is, I'm going to read it over, right? Continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis means that the patient has to manually insert and drain the dialysate several times during the day.
Excuse already? Right.
During CAPD, an inflow of about 2.5 liters of dialysate is placed in the peritoneal cavity via a catheter and left to dwell in the cavity with a dwell time of at least 3 hours. The simplicity of CAPD, the ease of doing it at home, its relatively low cost, and the associated freedom from dialysis machinery have combined to make it historically the most popular chronic PD modality. In CAPD, there are about 4 exchanges during the day performed manually. This can be a bit inconvenient at times, especially for the working person who has to find a facility to perform the exchange about 3 to 4 times a day with an overnight dwell. If you want, you can also add in that, right? Each exchange is composed of inflow time, 10 minutes, drainage time, 15 to 20 minutes, draining in the new fluid 10 minutes, and disconnecting the drain bag 2 minutes. Dwell time, the total time of this procedure, is called the exchange time. So who uses CAPD? High transporters or low transporters?
Low transporter.
Low
Right. They
transporters.
mentioned that low transporters use CAPD, right? And you can also continue to mention that low transporters tend to have smaller pores in the capillaries, and thus the transport of solutes and fluids are not as rapid as those in a high transporter group, right? So you can add in that also with your CAPD, and then you can go on to mention CCPD. And what is CCPD?
That one is overnight.
Continuous cycle PD.
Nice. And what is it? It's on page 10.
It's the use of a machine.
Yeah, it's a machine.
Is the use of a cycle for delivering dialysis overnight and freeing the person from exchange during the day. After these
Nice.
nighttime exchange,
Listening.
after these nighttime exchanges, there is a final exchange held for a daytime dwell. This means that the dialysate was left in the patient peritoneal cavity for the entire day.
an advantage of ccpd and other automated system of PD is the provision of dialysis in the supine position.
Supine position.
This is associated with decreased ultra-abdominal pressure, with intra-abdominal pressure, which is less with compared to patient with the upright position as in CAPD.
Okay, and you all whole thing, right? Explaining CCPD, I will like you all to remember that whole thing. Right? So continuous cyclic peritoneal dialysis is based on the use of a cycler for delivering dialysis overnight, freeing the person from exchanges during the day. After these nighttime changes, there's a final exchange that is held for a daytime dwell. Right? This means that the dialysate is left in the patient's peritoneal cavity for the entire day. Right? An advantage of CCPD and other automated system of peritoneal dialysis is the provision of dialysis in the supine position. Right? This is associated with decreased intra-abdominal pressure, which is less when compared to patients in the upright position, as in CAPD, right? And what type of transporters use CCPD?
High transporters.
High
High
transporters.
transporters, right. So I mentioned also that high transporters use CCPD, right? And high transporters use CCPD. And what is a high transporter, right? A high transporter has large pores in the capillaries, and so solutes can diffuse rapidly from the blood into the dialysate. Since this process is so rapid, right, there is a shorter time for the fluid from the water to the blood to ultrafilter into the dialysate. So together with your CAPD, you're adding that low transporters use CAPD, and you put your definition for what is a low transporter. With your CCPD, you state what CCPD is. You state that low transporters, high transporters use CCPD, and you put what are high transporters. So it goes together, right? Then there is nocturnal intermittent peritoneal dialysis, right? This is another automated form of peritoneal dialysis. There are some individuals who do not tolerate a long daytime dwell when ambulatory, such as those with severe back pain or large hernias. Nocturnal intermittent peritoneal dialysis is an option in which fluid is delivered at night and the patient is left dry during the day. So when you talk about nocturnal intermittent peritoneal dialysis, it is the automated peritoneal dialysis. And this nocturnal intermittent peritoneal dialysis is an option in which fluid is delivered at night and the patient is left dry during the day. The disadvantage of this system is that clearance of toxins is decreased with the loss of the continuous 24 process typical of CCPD. So you will have to write that, right? That's from the second paragraph, the second sentence. Next, we have tidal volume peritoneal dialysis. Anyone would like to explain what is tidal volume peritoneal dialysis to me?
Tidal volume peritoneal dialysis. TVPD is designed to ensure a constant pressure of the contact with the membrane. Methods such as CAPD, ccpd, and IPD are based on an intimate flow of fluid, wherein during the fill and drain, there are periods when the membrane has the contact on the membrane.
Okay, can you just give me 5 minutes? I'll be back.
To continue with the
Okay, so anyone want to tell me what is tidal volume peritoneal dialysis? So we
Okay,
have
miss.
34 people. Okay, thank you.
Tidal volume peritoneal dialysis, which is TVPD, is designed to ensure a constant presence of dialysate. Contact with the membrane. Methods such as CAPD, ccpd, IPD are based on an intermittent flow of fluid, wherein during the fill and drain, there are periods when the membrane dialysate contact are minimal. The purpose of TVPD is to maintain a more continuous exchange effect by leaving a constant reservoir or reserve of fluid in the cavity. By only removing a portion with each drain, a volume of solution is exchanged and a portion called a tidal drain volume is drained. After this, another volume known as the tidal fill volume is instilled to bring the reserve volume up to the desired exchange volume. Generally, the tidal volume is up to 50% of the total volume. Okay, for example, when using a 2-liter exchange, the reservoir could be 1 liter. With another liter exchange, the tidal volume.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So let us break this down here, right?
Can I read my one?
Yes.
Just take off a fun. I summarized it.
Nice.
Okay, so tidal volume peritoneal dialysis is designed to ensure a constant presence of dialysate contact with the membrane. Tidal volume peritoneal dialysis maintains a continuous exchange effect by leaving a constant reservoir or reserve fluid in the cavity by only removing a portion, which is called the tidal drain volume. This is drain. This is the solution. No, sorry, that's not.
The tidal drain volume is the portion drained when the volume of solution is exchanged. Then another volume, tidal fill volume, is instilled to bring the volume up to the desired exchange volume. The tidal volume is up to 50% of the volume of dialysate. There's sensation or discomfort where the cavity is empty. So there's one of the how do you call it? The advantages of using it. Because some patients cannot tolerate the pain when it is
Yeah, the
empty,
drain pain. Yeah.
the drain pain. And it is an automated peritoneal dialysis by using the cycler.
Nice. So we understand that in tidal volume peritoneal dialysis, the peritoneal cavity is never left dry, right? And it is designed to ensure constant presence of dialysate contact with the membrane, which is the peritoneum. The purpose of tidal volume peritoneal dialysis is to maintain a more continuous exchange effect by leaving a constant reserve of fluid in the cavity and by only removing a portion with each drain. So you can write that, but that will not be enough. So you continue to explain and state that a volume of solution is exchanged and a portion called a tidal drain volume is drained. After this, another volume known as the tidal fill volume is inserted to bring the reserve volume up to the desired exchange volume. So if you want to stop there, it is okay, right? If you want to go ahead and continue and write the other two lines, no problem. Any other questions?
It's just a question again, right? As in terms of writing the essay, I feel my when we pointers
So
and
did you all do disinfection with Dr. Michael?
yeah, with disinfection and the machine, yeah, with
With Dr. Wazir? Mr. Wazir?
Yeah, you all did it?
last time we
Yes.
Yes, miss, but not to say in depth, in depth. It's
Yeah,
just
you don't have
more
to be
like a
in depth. So yeah, it's
brief. Sir did mention that he would not be bringing a disinfection part of it in this
okay.
exam.
Okay.
He will bring it more in detail for like the next exam.
Oh well, great.
So what I gathered from that little information there, what I just told you is that this exam is just strictly on PD.
I told you about peritoneal dialysis. That's why I said that you'll just need this handout alone can help you pass this whole exam. So any other questions?
Miss, excuse, would we be getting anything on the catheters and the selection of catheters?
I don't know how the exam coming.
No, well, if we need to
No, I
study,
don't think so. Once you can once you do the basis of PD, once you can express that the catheter is inserted and the drain bag, right?
because in textbook have the four
I see
types
the
of
four
people
different
who
types. If
do,
you
yeah.
now this is the thing, it's how much you could remember. Right? So if you could remember the four different types of catheters and you want to write it in, no problem. That is more marks.
No, we can remember it.
Don't say you can't remember it. You can remember it if you could try.
Hmm. You can remember it have four, but we can't remember the exact four names.
If you want to write it, you can write it. If not, it's okay. You wouldn't lose marks for it.
Miss
Okay, so
Excuse,
anyone
you can
has
check
an
the
yes.
waiting room.
Excuse?
Miss Excuse, you can check the
It
waiting
have
room to
no
see.
one in the it have nobody in the waiting room.
Okay.
I've already admitted all. I'm listening. Questions?
Afternoon,
Miss,
everybody.
the transfer set is it the same as the one where is inserted in the abdomen, or is that or it had to be attached to the one inserted in the abdomen? Because it
What?
have two which will be um one is for the drainage bag and one is for the inflow bag.
Yeah.
That with the transfer set. So that attaching with the inserted catheter.
Yes.
All right.
Miss Excuse, I saw some here in GBT as well too, where they say it's a memory tip. I just asking.
What's the question?
I saw something here in GBT where it is to talk about the PD. They say a quick memory tip. I don't know if it's correct. I'll ask. They say water leads, sodium follows. First, water moves through aquaporins, then
Okay,
sodium
so
follows
that's what we're
slowly.
talking is about. You are talking about sodium transport.
Mm-hmm.
So that is sodium transport, right? So yes, let me hear the sodium transport. And yes, you can use Chat GPT and get this stuff, but you have to remember when you get all this information is how much your brain could hold, right?
Well, miss, I could read the simplify it a little bit here, step by step on the thing.
No
Step
problem.
They said step one, diastase enters the abdomen. The 2 points are a diastase solution is placed in the peritoneal cavity. This solution contains high concentration of glucose, but not necessarily high sodium. Step two is water moves fast osmosis. Because the diastase has more glucose, water
Okay,
is
so
pulled
that's
from
transport. That's not
mhm,
sodium transport. That's on the basis that okay, true osmosis. Go ahead.
water is pulled from the blood into the peritoneal cavity through osmosis. Water flows through the aquaporins, water-only channels in brackets. Sodium does not move as yet. This is important. Step 3, sodium is left behind. This is sodium sieving. Since only water moves at first, not sodium, the blood becomes saltier, meaning sodium concentration in the blood goes up. This is called sodium sieving. Water moves, but sodium is held back temporarily.
Sodium transport. Okay.
Step 4, dwell time increases. As the diastase stays in the belly longer, sodium starts to move slowly from the blood to the diastase. Why? Because now there is more sodium in the blood and less in the diastase. A concentrated, a concentration gradient
Gradient.
is created. Step 5, sodium moves by diffusion and convection. Sodium now moves by diffusion, high to low concentration, convection, dragged along with water movements. Step 6, sodium ends up in the drain bag. With more water and sodium moving into the dialysate, they both end up in the drain bag. That's how sodium is removed from the body in PD. How's it, miss?
Oh, I was talking, but my mic was muted. Yes, and that is sodium transport, right? So with sodium transport at the beginning, there's a high concentration, and we can find sodium transport on page 8.
Excuse me.
Yes.
When Sus spoke about sodium transport in the paper, he didn't really mention anything about glucose.
Yes. So that's what I was going to say now. You don't have to mention anything about glucose, but I believe the
Okay.
reason why ChatGPT mentioned glucose is because the dialysate solution has glucose in it. So I believe that's why I will say try not to confuse yourselves, right?
Yeah,
The
okay.
dialysate that is instilled into the peritoneal, when you're talking about sodium transport, you only mention talking about sodium, right? The dialysate that is instilled into the peritoneal cavity, you understand, is hypotonic, right? Meaning that the concentration of sodium is high in the dialysate, right? The movement of water without solutes, such as sodium, occurs through channels called aquaporins. You understand? And these channels, only water goes through them, right? But since the water alone is being transported through the aquaporins and the semi-permeable membrane, it holds back the sodium. You understand? This is referred to as sodium sieving, right? And with short dwells of 2 to 4 hours, the water is moving from the blood to the dialysate in a much greater way than the sodium. So the water moving to the dialysate, right, faster than the salt is moving to the dialysate, because remember the sodium is being held back by the peritoneum, right? So let us say at the beginning, you know that yes, your dialysate solution is salty, but with the water alone moving faster than the sodium is moving, then your dialysate now becomes concentrated, right? Having less salt in your dialysate and more water. You understand? But during this process, it means that your blood will become more saltier. But after a while, right, with the dwell period, it will have due to the concentration, the concentration gradients, the salt will start back to sieve out into the dialysate. So the salt doesn't stay in the blood, right? It's just that the salt moving slow, the salt will be moving slower than the water. You understand?
Yes, miss.
So this can occur by convection, resulting in the removal of sodium with the fluid that ends up in the drain bag.
Miss Excuse,
Yes.
how would this affect people who suffer with high blood pressure?
It wouldn't really affect them because the salt will seep back out. It's just that the salt will seep back out, it's seeping back out in a slow, it's coming out slower than the water. But it will come back out after a while. Yeah, pressure might be high, but it will drop after because the salt will eventually come out.
Okay, ma'am.
Miss, I'm not too sure if you know, but your mic is muted.
Yeah, I'm muting my mic because I thought someone was going to ask a question and Miss Kadira was speaking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So any questions? Anyone?
Miss Excuse.
Good night.
Hi, good night. Can you explain again the lymphatic absorption? I'm not too clear on it, please.
Okay, so what does the lymphatic system do in peritoneal dialysis? The lymphatic system is basically a drainage system that removes excess fluid tissues and returns it to the bloodstream. In peritoneal dialysis, the lymphatic system transports solutes like glucose when ultrafiltration takes place and the water goes to the dialysate. The glucose from the dialysate will back diffuse into the blood and as a result of absorption takes place via the peritoneal lymphatics of the peritoneal space. The lymphatic system also plays a role in the clearing of fluid and cellular debris, including bacteria and protecting the peritoneal cavity from infection. The lymphatics carry material like fluids and solutes and returns it to the circulatory system. You want me to go read it over again?
No, no, that's it.
Yeah, okay. Everybody got that?
Miss, I was reading that from somewhere.
That was my self notes.
Uh-huh. But we could use this one where they have on absorption.
Yes.
Okay.
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
Okay, so somebody wants me to repeat it. The lymphatic system is basically a drainage system that removes excess fluid from the tissues and returns it to the bloodstream. In peritoneal dialysis, the lymphatic system transports solutes like glucose when ultrafiltration takes place and the water goes to the dialysate. The glucose from the dialysate will back diffuse into the blood and as a result, absorption takes place via the peritoneal lymphatics of the peritoneal space. The lymphatic system also plays a role in the clearing of fluid and cellular debris, including bacteria and protecting the peritoneal cavity from infection. The lymphatics carry material fluids, which are fluids and solutes, and returns it to the circulatory system. Any questions?
Hi, Miss. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Just wanted to confirm we getting more than 2 essays.
I don't know, probably.
Okay.
Probably get about 6 essay. I know that's not funny, yeah? But it's not as even with the pitfalls, you learn all the pitfalls, all the complications. Just by learning the pitfalls and complications, that's about a good 20 or 30 marks. All.
Miss, we have to learn in the disinfectant part too.
I don't know, somebody now tell me that how you are not doing disinfection for this exam.
Still had mentioned it in last class that we would not be doing disinfection due to the fact that he focusing strictly on peritoneal dialysis.
He said we're doing this in the next exam.
Yeah,
Thanks very much.
welcome.
Thanks. I wasn't really in the next. Well, anyhow, thanks. Eh?
Nicholas is only this handle, the peritoneal dialysis one, and disinfection and maintenance. This is one handle that we're going through right now is the handle we getting all the answers from for this exam that is coming
Yeah,
up.
this handout is literally a whole exam. That is why I continue to say, learn everything in the handout. And the more that you could write is the more you'll get. The more points you will get.
So only peritoneal dialysis for this handout, right?
Yes, yes. For this exam,
Right.
only peritoneal dialysis.
All right, thanks. Because I've done. Okay, thanks.
Did you all do the modality choices? Learn the modality choices. Factors that influence modality choice.
Yes, Miss.
Nice. And what are the factors that influence modality choice?
The factors that influence modality choices are the physician factors, the financial and reimbursement factors, and the patient factors.
Nice, but also, yes, physician factors, financial and reimbursement factors, and patient factors, but you have to
And not
know all in all. As in physician factors, the physician bias and experience, physician reimbursement, resource availability. The financial and reimbursement factors, fee for service, public versus private ownership, resource availability or existing infrastructure, right? And patient factors, the physical limitations, patient social or living conditions, geographic location, the pre-dialysis education, and the social or cultural influences. So learn everything. Not just the 3 big points, but the 3 big points and the points under them. Any other questions?
Miss, we can go through the complications, please.
Yes. So can you tell me the complications of PD?
Perforation of the major blood vessels,
Mm-hmm. After the right.
bowel, after placement of catheter, you have hemorrhage, sepsis, and it could lead to death. We have Infections such
Yes.
as peritonitis the cause of that is the staphylococcus, gram-negative organisms and fungus. And due to improved catheters and tubing, it leads to less infections, um, protein malnutrition.
Protein loss with peritoneal dialysis could be
Mhm.
significant,
Pretty
especially
significant.
with peritonitis.
And yeah, I have that thing. And lipid derangements, sorry.
And hernia.
High high HDL, high LDL, low HDL, and high triglycerides, leading to atherosclerosis.
Yes, that is one.
I had to read it too because I have when I made my notes I had the treatment for it also to know. So.
Once you are able to write the complication and explain the complication, that is all, right? So we have number one, the perforation of a major blood vessel or bowel after the placement of the catheter, right, which can lead to the hemorrhage, sepsis, and possibly death. Another complication of PD is infections such as peritonitis, especially with staphylococcus species organisms mostly, but also gram-negative organisms and fungus. A decreased frequency of peritonitis because of improved catheter and tubing connectors. Exit site and fungal infections are common and treated with local or systemic antibiotics, rarely leading to catheter removal. We have protein malnutrition, which is protein loss with peritoneal dialysis can be significant, especially with peritonitis. One can also use amino acid rather than glucose dialysate for the treatment of protein malnutrition, but this has been only modestly effective. It will be good if you all can learn it just like this, so you all can write it just like this or as close as this, right? With peritoneal, another complication is lipid derangements. Like me, right now my lipids are just off balance. But I'm not on peritoneal dialysis, so that's a good thing. Most common abnormalities are high LDLs, which is the low density lipoproteins, low HDLs, which is the high density lipoproteins, because we know that the high density lipoproteins is the good cholesterol and the low density lipoproteins is the bad cholesterol, right? High triglycerides and high LDLs, which is a high level of the low density lipoprotein, can lead to an increase in atherosclerosis. We have hyperinsulinemia and hyperglycemia secondary to glucose dialysate. So by using glucose dialysate, the insulin levels will increase, right? We have an increase in insulin secretion, which could lead to hyperinsulinemia, which is an increased level of insulin in the blood, right? Which is persistently high, leading to atherosclerosis. Dialysates can lead to new cases of hyperglycemia and loss of glycemic control in a previously controlled diabetics, right? Basically, what they're saying there is, okay, so you have a diabetic patient, right? And they have the diabetes under control, right? By they doing peritoneal dialysis, right? They are using the glucose dialysate, right? The glucose can go back out of balance, right? Making them hyperglycemic because they're already suffering from sugar, what we like to call it, they're already suffering from diabetes, right? And they have the diabetes under control, but due to the back diffusion and the glucose going back into the blood, right? That's what will cause them to be hyperglycemic, and it can show their blood sugar off levels, right? We have hernia formation. Hernia formation is a mechanical complication of peritoneal dialysis resulting from the increase in intra-abdominal pressure from installation of dialysis fluid into the peritoneal cavity. And last but not least, inadequate dialysis, especially from impaired transport characteristics of the peritoneal dialysis membrane secondary to recurrent episodes of peritonitis. So if this person continuously is having peritonitis, which is like the infections, you understand it can lead to inadequate dialysis, right? Because the peritoneum it will be damaged, right? Remember, your peritoneum is the semi-permeable membrane. So your peritoneum can become damaged. Everybody understand?
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
yes.
And you all have to know all the full 7 complications. You can
Okay,
get 2
miss.
marks for each.
Okay.
So let me say that's 14 marks right there. Understand? Any other questions? Now, this is one of the easy exams, right? This is like probably one of the easiest exams. I will even say this easier than exam number 1.
Mr. Excuse somebody in the waiting room?
No, the last
I see
person in the
somebody.
waiting room was Sarah Carroll, and I admitted
Somebody
her.
say they're waiting to be added, I think.
There are no participants in the waiting room.
I was just added, thanks.
Okay. Oh, Miss Nikisha, yeah. Do you all have any other questions? So we have we did the basis of peritoneal dialysis and the transport systems, right? We did the complications, we did the pitfalls, we did modality choices. We did the various types of peritoneal dialysis. You all know how to calculate the exchange time.
No, miss.
Dr. Michael didn't do that, so then he probably mightn't bring it. I just add everything together.
One thing I was trying to understand too is the icodextrin.
Okay. It's just icodextrin is just like the glucose, right? But it's like a replacement for glucose, but it is more expensive than the glucose. So that's why it is used less, but it is a better choice to use than the glucose dialysis.
And the size of the particles in it bigger or something like that. Particles in it.
Yes, I believe so, but I know that the icodextrin is a much better choice than the glucose. Okay, so icodextrin is a type of peritoneal dialysis solution that does not contain dextrose. Glucose contains dextrose, right? Standard peritoneal dialysis glucose is the osmotic agent. Icodextrin is a starch-derived osmotic agent made from a mixture of polymers, which is polyglucose. Icodextrin is a large molecule with a high reflection coefficient. Yes, it has a high reflection coefficient, right? Icodextrin is used to maintain ultrafiltration via osmosis, and it maintains its osmotic strength longer than glucose, and it will stay at a relatively constant level throughout a dwell, even if the duration is long. So
Oh, so it
icodextrin
take
has
longer.
a better reflection coefficient, right?
So
And yeah,
it'll take longer to melt.
yes, right. And you dialyze better using icodextrin because of the reflection coefficient. The reflection coefficient in icodextrin is higher than with glucose. So therefore you get a better ultrafiltration with icodextrin.
Hi, Miss.
Yes, Nikisha? I think you might got muted by mistake. Mm. Nikisha, you need to unmute your mic.
Sorry, I didn't realize it mute
Yeah.
back before it was. I just wanted to explain something and you can correct me if I'm wrong. When coming to the icodextrin and the glucose, is it that when the glucose is in the dialysate, is it that when urea and all these things is transferred to the dialysate, it dissolves faster than using the icodextrin? It takes a
Yes,
shorter
but
period of time to dissolve.
yes. So that's what we call the reflection coefficient, right? Is the exchange capability. Yes, I can explain it like that.
So
So
if I
therefore,
explain it like that, I can
icodextrin,
go to the
it
full.
will with icodextrin, right? Icodextrin can be used for the longer dwell exchanges, right? Because you will get a
Okay.
better ultrafiltration, meaning you'll pull water better with the icodextrin due to the exchange capability, which is known as the reflection coefficient.
What's going on with my phone?
And also, an advantage of using the icodextrin is unlike with the glucose. Remember, icodextrin, you don't have that amount of sugar to raise your sugar levels, you know? Any other questions?
Miss, when I came on, I was hearing you all were talking about transfer set. I think I missed.
No, I think someone was just asking about the transfer set and how it is, right? That's with the drain bag and the insert when it is inserted, it wasn't like a topic. It was just like how it's inserted and if it contains the drain bag also. I said yes, I think like that.
Okay.
So you all have anybody else have any other questions? I think now it's just about you all getting everything memorized. Am I wrong?
No, miss.
No wish.
No, miss. Just to
Because that's
memorize.
just it. It's just to memorize everything.
Hello, good afternoon. Anybody hear me?
Yes.
Miss, can you all send the document, please, that you're all talking about because we have the document.
That is the same peritoneal dialysis handout that you had, Katrina.
With the 27 pages?
It's 27 pages. No, that's not.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we can wrap up because no one has any questions.
So miss from page
From page
6.
1 straight until the end. You're learning, eh? Not
Miss by page 16 and thing is chemical rinse program and thing
right. They're not right. Right. So from page 1 to 14.
okay.
Page 1 to 14. Everybody know any questions, you all have can message me. Right? Page 1 to 14. Peritoneal dialysis.
Thank you, Miss.
It's only about peritoneal dialysis. So try to get as much possible memory and as much information as possible into your brains because that is only peritoneal dialysis you're getting examined on.
Miss, I would have sent back the essay. You could just give me a little feedback on it, please, when you get a chance.
So you send it to my WhatsApp or
Email.
Email, okay, no problem.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so I guess we could end tutorial now because nobody have any questions.
Yes, Miss.
Okay, so everybody have a good night.
You too, Miss.
Message me if you all need have any questions on anything, okay?
Okay,
Okay, no
Miss.
problem.
Thanks very much.
Try message your
Bye.
wife and reply.
Okay, enjoy your night.
Miss.